What's up, everybody? My name's Big Cam and welcome back to another movie review. And today we are talking about the fourth movie in the How to Train Your Dragon franchise, but now the live action 2025 How to Train Your Dragon, with director Deblois returning from his work in the How to Train Your Dragon verse. And honestly, the animated movies are some of my favorite movies maybe ever, you know, like they're maybe the best trilogy I can possibly think of at the moment, you know what I mean? Like, got so much heart, so well done. I mean, as far as like animated projects for an animated trilogy, I mean, I couldn't even tell you what Shrek 3 was about, but growing up, I liked the Shrek movies, but if I was a kid and I had, you know, young children, I would be showing them the hell out of How to Train Your Dragon, you know, and like this live action version, obviously the animated version, the dragons are much more cartoony and funny and stuff like that, but the live action version, the dragons, you know, obviously Toothless looks pretty much the same, but still, you know, is live action. But all the other dragons, they kept their like cartoony designs, but made them look like real dragons with real scales and like, you know, real fire and stuff like that. And you could almost tell that like House of the Dragon was directly the reason why this movie looked so good. You know what I mean? Like, they've done so much work with CGI dragons now at this point, making them look real, that a live action How to Train Your Dragon is possible. You know what I mean? And like the big, huge dragon at the end, you know, if you know, you know. At the end of the first movie, there's a big giant chase with the huge queen dragon, if you would, and it is so massive that it just made me want House of the Dragon to show me an even bigger dragon. You know what I mean? Like, show me a more devastating, bigger dragon. And honestly, Vagar in season 2 of House of the Dragon had some pretty epic scenes, but I think House of the Dragon needs to step their game up after seeing How to Train Your Dragon live action. But if they're gonna go ahead and do this How to Train Your Dragon live action trilogy, I think it's going to be incredible. I mean, the third movie is heartbreaking to me in the animated trilogy, and the second one's heartbreaking, the first one's heartbreaking. Like, I mean, they have so much heart, so much soul. I mean, if you were somebody like me that lost their father within the last couple of years, Gerard Butler as Stoick the Vast, oh my god, talk about perfect casting, but also like, what a Viking name. We need the chief of the Viking village. What's gonna be his name? Stoick the Vast. You know, like, oh, such a good name. And then obviously the original Gobber was, I believe, Craig Ferguson, which is hilarious, but maybe problematic to bring him back in live action. So they got Nick Frost to be Gobber, which was awesome. And then the cast of the kids was pretty awesome. Mason Thames as Hiccup, honestly not as funny as the animated voice, which I think was like Jay Brochel or something like that. He was hilarious voice. Mason Thames brought the energy of Hiccup, but the voice wasn't quite there for me. But his sadness, like his Hiccup was so much more sad than the animated, which I thought was much more funny. Like, I felt for this Hiccup much more. I was like, oh god, he just wants to belong, he just wants to be like his dad and make him proud. But like, you know, it also has this great message in there. Like, even if your entire village and everyone around you is like one thing and you see a different way to do things, don't just fall in line with everyone else and do what they want you to do because they said so. Like, do what makes you feel good and do what you think is right, you know, and you might end up turning the entire village over to your vision because you had seen a different way through than they could, and they couldn't see the path, but you could, you know what I mean? Like, I think it has a great message. It's great, like, great storytelling. I mean, the cast in the animated version was hilarious, but bringing them to life in the live action version, Nico Parker as Astrid, Gabriel Howell as Snotlout, he was kind of funny in this, Julian Dennison, who I know as Fire Fists from Deadpool 2, is hilarious, and he plays FISHLEGS in this, very funny role. Brownie James plays Rough Nut, Harry Trevaldwin plays Tough Nut, Rough Nut and Tough Nut. Peter Serafinowicz plays Spitlout. But as far as like a animated project bringing it to live action, I thought it was pretty well done. They did hold themselves pretty faithfully to the original version of this. I didn't see any real changes in the live action version to the animated version. They almost did pretty much a shot-for-shot remake. But if I was to say, you know, if you're gonna do a live action remake and you're the same director, like if you weren't the guy that did the original, you would want to pay homage to the original, right? Not perfectly natural. But if you're the guy that did the original and you're doing a live action remake, you gotta do more. You gotta give people that watch the original movies a little bit something extra to be like, oh wow, it's different from the other version. You know, like you could have added, say there was deleted scenes from the first version. You could have added those back into this version. Say there's stuff that got left on the cutting room floor that got trimmed out because you didn't have the time to do it in the original version. I feel like that now is the time to expand on the original versions, and I hope if they do a second and third movie, they don't need to do drastic changes, but like, you know, if there's little scenes that could have expanded on the original version, why not give us something more than the original? I mean, make it more of a live action story. I mean, a lot of the kids that grew up on this are probably adults now. Maybe make it more of an adult story. Throw in a little bit more of the adult energy in it. It's not like this franchise is 100% for kids, even though it's a DreamWorks project, especially now the live action version. It seems like they're heading into a teenager, more preteen, young adult type age group, rather than like the first movie. It felt like it was for kids. But then How to Train Your Dragon 2 and 3, even as an adult watching those, I was like, this is a fucking tremendous movie. Like, this isn't necessarily for kids, you know? Like, so there's a lot of sad parts, there's a lot of friggin' heartbreaking parts. You're like, oh my god, that's brutal. I can't believe they showed that, you know? Like, and overall for me, I really enjoyed this remake. I'll tell you what, it really gripped me, even though I knew what was going to happen. I hadn't seen it in a while, and I really do like the How to Train Your Dragon movies. So I was watching this one, you know, with on the edge of my seat being like, oh god, don't hurt Toothless, you know? Like, oh god, I really buy into Hiccup and Toothless's story and how they, you know, mean so much to each other. Oh, and they're great teammates, you know, like they work well together as like a duo. And Gerard Butler just, oh, Stoick the Vast coming back and bringing so much emotion to the live action version of his character. I mean, the animated version of his character made me tears too, but in live action it hits a little bit harder when you actually see Gerard Butler's face saying the lines and you're like, oh god, no. But overall, I gave this film 3.5 out of 5 stars, about a 7 out of 10, and I really only did that because I gave the original trilogy all 4 out of 5 stars, and honestly, those are probably more like 9 out of 10 rather than 8 out of 10 movies, and maybe this is more like an 8 out of 10. But because I gave the originals 4 out of 5 stars, I gave this one 3.5 out of 5 stars because it was good, but I think the original version is better because it's the original and, you know, it's animated, so it looks more cartoony and more fun. But the live action remake was really good, but like it's not an original idea, you know what I mean? Like they're just taking the blueprint from something that already exists and then pretty much doing a shot-for-shot remake of it. Like I said, if they added some more stuff that I wasn't expecting in there, maybe it would have gone up even more, you know? But if they do a second live action and they continue on this trilogy in live action, I can't wait to do that. I mean, Cate Blanchett hopefully is back for the second movie, reprising her role with Stoick the Vast. But yeah, Mason Thames, pretty good job. I think I gotta go check out his horror films of The Black Phone and The Black Phone 2. Yeah, comment below your thoughts on this film. If you enjoy the How to Train Your Dragon movies and if you enjoyed the live action version, I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. Leave your score down in the comment section, or you can message me on my other social medias. Links for those down in the description below. Thank you guys so much for coming on by. If you would like to support the channel, the best way to do that is liking this video, commenting down below, subscribing if you haven't already, and hitting that bell so you don't miss future movie reviews and you get the notifications when those come out. This is a 2025 movie. It's now streaming on Peacock. If you want to check out my Letterboxd for all my other movie reviews this year, go check that out. Links down in the description below. More spooky season movie reviews coming sometime next week, and more Hot Toys figure unboxings coming this weekend, so stay tuned for that, y'all. Once again, my name is Big Cam, and I will see you beautiful people in the next one. Peace!